After having listened to all of you talk and after having some insight into how Sweden works with the human rights of children, it seems very apparent that if there isn't a dialogue between the local governments and the national governments, there are no rights for children, right? Because the local governments are the ones who work with children and create their everyday lives on a everyday basis, I mean. It would be very interesting for us here in Iceland to learn a little bit more about how your countries work or your offices work with local governments, because the convention, the Committee on the Rights of the Child in Geneva has given Iceland comments on this issue, and there seems to be a lot of people here starting to think about this. So we need your advice, and it would be good to learn a little bit more about your experience, especially the law in Sweden about how you can call the governments to the office.
In Norway, we see a huge difference in the way that the municipalities offer services to children, as I said earlier today. And one of the ways we work is to strengthen or to inspire the monitoring mechanisms that is actually out there. Because in Norway and also in Sweden, you have a county governor that is supposed to, the representative of the state out there, that is supposed to follow what is going on in each and every municipality. And they are actually doing a rather good job when it comes to environmental stuff and things like that. But when it comes to children in Norway, they are actually not monitoring in the way they should. So we try to make them now involve children. For instance, when they monitor the school system out there, they should not only look at the law and see if the school is in compliance with the legislation, but they should also go out there and ask the children, how is it in your school? Is there a bully problem? Are you happy with your teachers or your complaints mechanisms out there? Whatever. So we try to strengthen the structures that are already out there, because in a big country like ours, it's a small country but still quite big geographically. We need to have representatives of the states out there in the local area. So that's one way of doing it, and you probably have a monitoring mechanism here as well. The representative of the state out, the county governor or something like that. So we try to make them do their job. So as an ombudsman for children, our job is to make sure that the people out there actually do what they are supposed to do. And that's how we work.
I think this is a very valid and very important question, because this is one of the main criticisms that Sweden gets from the Committee on the Rights of the Child every time Sweden is scrutinized. And I think the same with Norway and Nordic countries. That they say, okay, to the government, you tell us about a lot of achievements, but what about the local level? What's happening on the local level? And the Swedish government, they always answer, but we have this lokalt självstyre, where they can decide what they want, and it's very difficult to really follow up from us. And they are not impressed. The committee, they are not impressed. They say, but you are responsible for the whole of your country. You cannot just say that, well, they can't do exactly what they want. They should also follow the convention. So one very important step, I mean, it's very important for us that we have this right, that we can call the municipalities to our office. It's good, but it's not good enough. And one thing that we are very happy to introduce in July, next month, it will be a follow-up system that will be available from our website, where all the municipalities in Sweden, all the indicators that we have about child rights at local level, but at least 8 indicators are accessible from the local level. So it will be possible to look at our website and to see all municipalities in Sweden, how they fare in these 8 indicators. And of course, that will be something that will put pressure on decision makers at local level. If it's possible to see, okay, in my municipality, we have so many children in child poverty, not having good results in school, for example, but in the other municipality, they are much better. The situation is better. Why is that? Can we change anything here? So I think that will be a very, very important tool for us that will be in place in next month. And we are also if we get the funding, hopefully, and I think we will get it from next month, we will also start something that we call young speakers, but at local level, where we will invite between 20 or 50 municipalities where children should have the right to talk about their situation, and we will also confront decision makers about what children are saying at local level. The same as I mentioned from the central government, we'll do at local level. But it costs a lot, so it depends a bit on funding, but I'm quite optimistic also.
Yeah, it's a little bit different for us because we're so new, but what's interesting in Greenland is that actually I'm from a municipality, so I know what it's like from the inside and what kind of challenges that are within the municipality. One of the first thing that we will be doing is looking at some guidelines, because in lots of other countries there are guidelines for how many cases you can have as a social worker, but we don't have that in Greenland. So it's very difficult to keep the politicians, how do you say it, hold dem ansvarlige, keep them responsible for how many cases each social worker are having. So that's one of the things that we will be doing.
Well, in Denmark, setting off with the comments from the committee of the convention, the committee is extremely worried about the very decentralized system in Denmark. The local authorities have extreme power, and the committee is not convinced that a child living at one end of Denmark is having the same conditions as children having in the other end of Denmark. And we think they're right. It's a well-known problem. Decentralization means that you cannot control all parts of politics or of structures of systems. And this is a hot issue on mainly two areas. Well, mainly one area actually in Denmark. Social welfare is the one, and I think the National Council points at another area, which is school policies and school conditions. Pupils in Denmark have no rights. That's in short. They have no means to complain. They have nowhere to go. Even if they agree with their parents cannot go anywhere with their complaints. So these are the areas that we are addressing. We don't have any specific decentralized, let's say, participational activities from the council. This is one of the things that we are going to build up now with our new mandate. We will, to a much more degree, now visit children where they live, which means in institutions, in schools, in residential care, in all the places where children are, the National Council will be also. So that's one of our new tasks. Until then and until now, we have merely attacked this problem from a central view. I mean, we are attacking the lack of democracy in an educational system from a legal system, from a legal point of view. Also because the society of communes, the local authorities, is a very, very, very difficult partner. It's a very tough partner in these matters. Social welfare is under attack in Denmark. Children are treated properly, and we have a financial crisis. So talking about democracy, participation, that's a freaky theme for communes in Denmark. Okay.
About the municipalities, I think the situation in Finland is the same as in other Nordic countries, that the inequalities in standards of children's services across the municipalities, that's actually the biggest problem if you think about the child rights. But what is our strategy to improve that? We stress on that the legislation should be stricter in the first place, because the policy towards the municipalities was earlier very much information, the steering was supposed to go via information and programming, but that didn't prove to be very effective. It caused these wide differences, and we speak for a stricter legislation. And we have had some better legislation, for example, in the school health nurses sector and so on, but even though all the municipalities don't apply the legislation. And there comes the role of the state provincial offices. They used to be called länsstyrelsen. They have the responsibility to supervise whether the municipalities go according to the law or not. And we try to have an impact on the state provincial offices, that they should have a child perspective when they are supervising the municipalities. What we do ourselves, we do mostly opinion making towards the municipalities. That's actually one of our main directions where we do opinion making. Our yearbook this year has the focus on child-friendly municipality. We send it to all the municipalities, and we try to encourage them to build youth councils, use children's experience experts in service design, and give all kinds of encouragements and examples. We do also municipality visits on requests, so that I go there myself and go with the municipality, the leaders, and we, in a way, it's a kind of consulting, but there is not so much time to do that. That's only a few municipalities over a year that we can do that. And we also follow the municipality reform that's going on in Finland. The number of municipalities will be smaller, and actually a week ago we had the meeting with our young people's advisory group and the minister responsible for municipality reform in Finland. And it's difficult to say because it's on process. It's not decided yet. I think they are just discussing that in the government at this week. That whether they will set a goal, or is it just the strategy of larger municipalities without a certain number of municipalities.
It seems like there's similar problems you have as we are struggling with. There's about 70 municipalities in Iceland, some with very few inhabitants. But I'm not going to use the time on Iceland, so yeah, there's Stefan.
Ja, tack. Yeah, I speak up. Okay. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to listen to you guys and for your frank, presentations. I wanted to ask about the individual cases. None of the officers take on individual cases. When the Commission was reviewing Iceland, the Committee on the Rights of the Child, it was one of the comments was on the lack of clarity for children to seek their rights. To see where there are ways, they're not clear and they're not open to kids, and the question was then, who should take care of that, and how can that be made more accessible, and should the Ombudsperson take on individual cases like the Ombudsperson of the Parliament of Iceland, for example, does. So I just want, and this is something I just wanted to sort of hear your opinion on.
Should we gather some more? Maybe the Guðrún would also like to say something.
Yes, it's another issue.
Yeah, and I was thinking, it takes so long time that they're all coming.
Well, I can.
Yeah.
Hello. Thank you for your very interesting presentations. I come from the School of Education, University of Iceland, and I'm also on the board of Save the Children Iceland. And obviously there are so many issues to discuss. But I wanted to ask you about if you have been an active part in the development of the collaboration of the NGOs, because I noticed that many of you mentioned interesting things. So I was thinking about this is one of the issues we have to develop here. For instance, the interesting fact that Denmark actually has an NGO coalition. Here, in the light of the economic crisis in Iceland, there is a lot of activity here to collect money for activities of the NGOs, for instance, just to mention one side of it. So I was wondering if you could comment on the development and and also the part the offices of the Ombudsman has played in developing this part. Thank you.
If you would like to answer those questions, there's another question here, but I think you answer those two, and then we have to close. Mælendaskrá, I don't know what that is in English.
I'll be quick. On the individual complaints mechanisms question, I would say that we, the Nordic Ombudsman for Children, we often say in international forums that we don't take individual complaints, whereas the other European Ombudsmen, they often say that we have 500,000, 2,000, 10,000 individual complaints to our offices, they say. But when we look at it, they work more or less the same way as we do. We use the individual complaints. They come as complaints to our offices, but we don't make decisions in those complaints. So I get thousands and thousands of people contacting the office, and it is a complaint, but my role is to guide them on where to go. So because there are actually formal complaint mechanisms already in place out there. My job is to make sure that the structure in the society is actually working as it is supposed to do. So when children don't know where to turn, to whom to turn, when they are bullied at school, it is my job to make sure that the system out there is actually working. As an ombudsman situated in Oslo, it is not possible for me to be there for the children in northern Norway immediately in every case. So therefore it should be a local system out there actually for children, and the children should know their complaint system. When it comes to the collaboration of NGOs, we have that in Norway as well, and before I was a part of it, but I'm not that now, and I decided not to be a member of the coalition as an ombudsman because the independency of an ombudsman for children is the very most important tool we have as ombudsman for children. And I should not only monitor what is going on in the government or in the decision structures of Norway, but I should also monitor what is going on in the NGO system. So if an NGO is using figures that is not correct, or if they do anything to, for instance, raise money for themselves and using children in a way that I can criticize, I should be independent from them and not a part of their family. So an ombudsman for children should be independent of everybody, also the NGOs.
And having an NGO background myself, I think it's important to say that NGOs need to be independent as well from the ombudsperson, because they should also scrutinize that the ombuds office is working in the right direction. So, but of course you can cooperate, but there should be independence in between. So I agree on that. Talking about individual complaints, I think it's important to say, I will give just one example why I think our model is working quite well anyhow. In the past, 12,000 children in Sweden were indebted to the local health authorities. They had debts to the local health authorities. And it happened because if you don't show up on time, in the past it was like that, if you didn't show up on time for an appointment for a doctor, for example, or a dentist, you get an invoice. You got an invoice. And that invoice was sent in the name of the patient, and if the patient was a child, it was the child that was indebted if he or she or the parent, in fact, didn't pay the bill. And that way 12,000 children in Sweden were indebted. And I got letters about this. Some children were quite angry, of course, rightly so, because their parents didn't pay for a visit when they were young, and some of these children were also in alternative care. I mean, their parents didn't pay, but they didn't take care of anything, and the children were taken away from the parents to alternative care, but the bill and the debt rested with the children. It was very unfair. So in Cyprus, if I would be the ombudsperson, I would take one case to court. It would take 5 years, and hopefully I will get the right answer. But in Sweden, I could call the health authorities, all of them, to my office to come to explain why they are doing this. I could ask the government to change the law, and within 1 year, 12,000 children in Sweden, where all the debts were taken away from them. So it was individual case, but it was the result was that 12,000 children, the debts were taken away from them. So it can be quite efficient, the Nordic way of working also.
Yeah. Regarding the individual cases, we have a collaboration with the Ombudsman. They haven't received any cases from children, but they're able to. So I think we still have a long way to go there. When it comes to individual cases coming to the spokesperson's office, we have a collaboration with the municipalities because we want to enable the kids to come to us. And we made a research showing that 42% of the population in Greenland, only 42% have access to the internet. And we're making a function on our webpage, a chat function, and we're making it able for people, for children, to contact us through Skype, for example. So we're creating some kind of channel, so we're able to take some kind of individual cases. But as the same in the other countries, we can't make a decision. We can come with a statement. Regarding the collaboration with the NGOs, they already have a coalition. So since we're such a new institution, we haven't been involved in that. But what we decided to do was get a collaboration with the NGOs. So we had a strategy day about our strategy where we were presenting it for them and asking them, is it coherent with what they're thinking about is important in Greenland? So in that way, we're collaborating with them.
Well, concerning the individual complaints, I think the National Council acts more or less like you do in Norway and Sweden. We guide people on, and we know that this is a problem. Lots of children do not receive justice. And this new system that I sketched out on my slide, this triangular structure, should facilitate children's way to their right. The National Council will still not handle personal cases. The Ombudsman will handle the cases. But okay, having 10 or 100 phone calls about the law on custody makes the National Council very aware of problems, and then we seek influence through other channels than by solving individual problems. So in the new system, which also actually the sketch out I made, the slide I made, is a simplified model because it also includes the collaboration of the National Institute for Human Rights, who is also being strengthened now, funded, better funded, and by the National Social Appeals Board, in Danish, the Sociale Ankenævn, which altogether should facilitate children's access to justice. And noted, this slowly moves on to the NGO coalition. The NGO coalition and the National Council this spring invited the vice president for the committee of the Children's Rights Convention in Geneva, Marta Mauras, who was rapporteur on Denmark and on this last examination. And I noted that when meeting the parliamentary ombudsman, she repeatedly said, the committee is not interested in how you do it. The committee is interested in that you do it. Bring justice to children, which was a great relief to us to hear the committee on this level address this problem so directly. So actually I think our new system passed examination, as our minister says. We lifted this task together, inviting the committee member to Denmark. The National Council would never have had the resources to invite a member of the committee all the way from Chile to Denmark for a week meeting all sorts of organization, meeting Danish children, meeting the Ombudsman, meeting the ministers, etc., etc. We could never have done that on our own. So that's one of the arguments for working very closely. On the other hand, we know and we are aware that this new structure in Denmark includes the cooperation of the biggest NGO on this field, the third corner to the triangle. The problem being, should an NGO handle matters that should be, or maybe not should be, state affairs? They solve problems that maybe should be on state level, not be on a private level. That's a long discussion, but we're aware of it, and still we have chosen to be in a very strong cooperation with the NGO.
About the independent complaints, the UN Committee for the Rights of the Child gave 2003 or something, same kind of recommendation to Finland as it is given to Iceland, that our office should deal with individual cases. But our opinion is that it's not practical, because we already in principle, we have offices that should deal with the children's appeals, but they don't. So we did, in this last round of reporting, we had a strategic goal. We wanted to change this recommendation, and we succeeded that now the UN committee recommended to Finland that in Finland all the human rights, legal supervising authorities, they should work more child-friendly in order to be lower the threshold for the children under 18 to submit their complaints. But of course, most of the work should be done on the local level in the municipalities. It's not the idea or the goal that children should complain on the parliamentary ombudsman, but that's our strategy, and that's what we try to. We cooperate with all these instances, helping them to change and transform their structures and ways of work more child-friendly. And mostly we do cooperation with the Parliamentary Ombudsman Office, but also Minority Ombudsman Office has been interested, and Consumer Ombudsman Office too. And with the NGOs, I find it a really big source of support for the work of the Ombudsman for Children. We cooperate with the NGO coalition. We market our own strategy to the NGOs too. In a way, that's the way we hold our independence. We don't change our strategy in that interaction, but we say what we find would be the priorities, what should we do. And we do that cooperation in many fields, even in having an impact on the election campaigns. We do cooperation with the NGOs. We have discussions that we discuss with that. What are the kind of the unpolitical children's themes should be in the elections, and then we try to repeat these across the sectors.
Sandra, you had a question, but we run out of time. Short one. I would like to be my words and finish it at 11:30. I'm punctual in that sense. So I would like to thank all of you for being here, and especially my colleagues. It's been wonderful listening to you. And we will keep our work moving forward here in Iceland. We will have a seminar on October 18th, where all of you will be invited, where we will take this further about implementing the Children's Convention. But I would like to give all the participants, and all of you will also get this. This is a coffee mug, and on the back is written, "What's the best interest for the child? Children count on you. And do you listen to children?" So I think when you drink our coffee, we are all guarding children's rights, and that's our obligation. So you will, every time you drink the coffee, you think about your duties in that sense. So thank you, all of you, and have a nice trip back. Thank you. Bye-bye.